Hey guys, Dissect Magic here, and I'm conducting some market research on behalf of myself. I was of course going to jokingly say Wizards of the Coast, but I'm sure they would sue me. That's probably all kinds of different illegal. But anyway, remember when there was the big staff shakeup and they finally fired the guy who has been ruining MTGO for a while? Although, hard to say that when everybody else that worked at Wizards is blaming the lack of a budget. Like, the people who run the company, well, first of all, the divisions, the different segments never talk to each other, they said, and also, allegedly, they basically are just hesitant to throw money at anything technical, anything modern. They really want to stick to paper, which is very funny because 60% of their income comes from MTGO. Now, how that's measured, is that net, is that gross, because printing costs a bit and so does shipping, all I know is that they stated that statistic. But still, that's insane. So it's like, okay, put some more money into it. But then again, they really don't put money into anything. They don't pay their staff properly, especially for where they are. That's like proven. That's not even an opinion. That is absolutely proven as reported by like the government and their own employees on sites like Glassdoor.com. So as far as I can tell, that's true. It maybe may not be, but everything I've ever heard points to that being true. Then they don't put enough money into MTGO to fix it up, although recently they kind of have. I mean, they don't fix foils, they don't fix their printing issues, they make them worse. There's been just massive misprints lately. The card quality's going down the toilet. If anything, they're cutting costs on everything. And I'm thinking, didn't the game just blow up to like double or triple its size according to them as of, I don't know, Dragon's Maze or something like that? I keep hearing this number of triple. Don't know if it's true or not, but I do know the game has been blowing up lately. Although, really extremely lately, it's been blowing up the other way in that everybody's leaving the game en masse because of basically the Sealy combo and just in general the state of standard. Some people stomped off because they didn't like the bans, so, moral of the story is don't print broken cards in the first place. You're either going to drive away one group, you're going to drive away the other. I mean, it is what it is. So they did hire now some new people to do a bunch of technical stuff, and it turns out that the whole Magic Digital Next is a blanket term for them actually allegedly giving a crap about digital stuff. That's why they called it Magic, and then Digital, and then Next. It's Next because it's what they're doing in the future, it's Digital because it's digital, and it's Magic because it's magic. I assume that's an internal term because there's not much PR and marketing put into that phrase, obviously. They were just like, oh, what should we call it? I don't know, what are we doing? We're doing something next that's magic and digital. All right. So it's not actually a product, it's a strategy or a product group or a team or a branch, I guess. And they were touting it around like it's just the best thing that's ever happened to Wizards, and it might be. I mean, I'm not going to say it isn't. But they were saying, oh, we hired people who used to work at Valve and this and that company and this place you've heard of. And I'm thinking, well, great. I mean, everybody loves to say that, but why do they not work there anymore? Like, that question's always in the back of everybody's minds. Oh, gee, I used to work for Microsoft, and then they fired me because they realized I'm incompetent. Woohoo! But anyway, that was like a big, branding, PR, whatever thing where it's like, hey, look at us, press release, woo, we've got prestigious developers, finally. Like, I think they even kind of, like, self-deprecated a little bit where they're like, yeah, some of our digital products have sucked and we put no effort into them. I feel like maybe that's not the exact phrasing they use, but that's what I got out of it. So, as I walk around and catch Shuckles in Pokemon Go to troll people in gyms, I got to wondering about one of the things that they specifically said. And this is all this, like, vaporware, pie in the sky, tell the investors nonsense. So don't take this too seriously, but I'm going to see if I can look this up so I can get exactly what they said, because it was so just out of left field. Okay, this is exactly verbatim what they said, assuming I can read today, which has been a little bit rough in the couple takes here. We will bring our characters and worlds to other games and experiences. What would it be like to throw fireballs as a planeswalker in an MMO? Probably like every other MMO. Okay, they didn't write that. Or quest for treasure with your friends in a D&D augmented reality game. I'm pretty sure you can hack DDO to run in VR, actually. We want to play games like this too, so we hired David Schwartz, an industry veteran with 25 years of experience leading projects at Microsoft, EA. Ooh, I wouldn't have put that one. THQ, Leapfrog Enterprises, and Midway Games. He is building a publishing team to explore partnerships and collaborations that will bring Magic and D&D to unexpected settings, genres, and platforms. As a software developer myself, and I know quite a bit about like game design and pretty much all of this, here is where this whole damn thing fell apart. Okay, they want to bring augmented reality like Pokemon Go or straight up VR games. I believe they mentioned that somewhere in there. They alluded to it in another post or whatever. And it's all of their stuff. It's Wizards of the Coast. So they, pushed D&D because duh. In fact, I think they actually already rolled out something D&D VR related. Oh, so they hired David Schwartz, an industry veteran. And what does he do? What did he used to do? Okay, he worked at all those places, great. And he has 25 years of experience leading projects. So not, hey, he's going to design it. Not, hey, he's an artist. Not, hey, he does voice acting. Or he does the physics. Or he knows game engines. No, he's the leader of the project, which is the reason a game fails or succeeds. So besides the whole why the hell did he jump around between so many companies part and why does he no longer work in any of these companies part, assuming he knows what he's doing, they tried to piece together two things that don't work. So project manager, make sure that the game goes the right direction, that all the people under him know what they're doing, that the game doesn't suck, make sure that nothing horrible gets into the game or the project. It's on time, under budget, and a proper good product at the end of the day. That's what the project manager does. And it would appear from what they said that they hired him to not do that. The keywords here are he is building a publishing team to explore partnerships and collaborations. So no, they're not making their own in-house game developing team, although except for MTGO, they pretty much gutted that. But if they're going to make like an augmented reality game or some kind of run around as a planeswalker, literal like Pokemon Go clone game, they're not going to make it in-house. Now, this is no surprise. Okay, so, MTG Puzzle Quest, amazing game. I love it. Very, very, very well made. I would say, as it sits right now, a better, more balanced, more fair, more fun game than Magic the Gathering. They have done better than Wizards of the Coast did. And you're probably thinking, what do you mean better than them? D3 Go designed the game. It wasn't Wizards. Wizards didn't design a damn thing. I mean, they had like art people and technical leads and, overall project people making sure that it resembled a Magic game and stuck to the lore. And they didn't have any, misstatements in the game that violated anything that everybody knows about Magic, that kind of stuff. They kept them in line, but they designed the game. D3 Go did. So what does Wizards do? They just get a cut for licensing the IP. And considering the number of players and the rumored number of purchases that the game is generating, that worked out pretty damn good. I mean, that just paid for the whole damn staff at what is it, MTG Next or whatever the hell they called it. Oh, I forgot. Oh yeah, Magic Digital Next. I mean, why couldn't they have called it the Department of the Volcano at Mordor? That's where they're going to forge the One Ring to rule them all. And the One Ring is a Pokemon Go clone. So if they go over to Niantic. If they go over to Niantic and say, hey, can you copy and paste Ingress again and make a Magic the Gathering augmented reality game? Can you do that? Okay, cool. Here's David Schwartz. He's going to be like the project leader, but not really because you guys have a project leader because it's your project and we're just licensing you stuff. So first of all, why the hell would you hire somebody who isn't a Wizards of the Coast former employee that knows nothing about Magic the Gathering as a game, its history, its lore, and none of that, and make him the project manager on a project that he won't work on because whoever you license out your names and the word Planeswalker and the storylines and the characters, whoever you license that out to, they're going to manage the project. If anything, you should have an art and lore consultant, and that's it. And you can't just hire somebody to do that. That doesn't make sense. It would have to be like somebody who worked at Wizards for a long time. Either that or like a longtime pro player, because they actually employed them quite a bit. So this doesn't make any sense. They don't actually need a project leader, especially one from software designers, because they're not designing anything in-house. That's why they use the phrase partnerships and collaborations that will bring Magic and D&D to unexpected settings, genres, and platforms. I mean, if they want to bring some kind of Magic or D&D game to the Xbox, they're going to go get some smaller development studio who's not working on a project right now, recruit them, and make sure that they've made like 12 Xbox games in the past or something. So, I mean, D3 Go made a very similar game from Marvel. So Marvel went to them and they're like, hey, give us, whatever, 20, 30%, whatever, of the, gross revenue from this game for licensing out all of our Marvel characters. I feel like since it's Marvel, it would be like 70%. I don't know. I'm not an intellectual property and copyright licensing specialist. Sorry. So they went to D3 Go and said, can you kind of reskin the game and tweak the engine a little bit and make it a Magic game? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? And they both made a ton of money. So they're like, we should do this more. Hire this guy. Let's branch out. So they're looking at VR, they're looking at AR, they're looking at consoles, they're looking at everything. They were looking at movies, but to get a movie made in Hollywood, you need about 5 years of begging people, even if you're a famous director, because writers will fall off, scripts will get rejected, companies will say they're working on something else, the budget won't show up. I mean, it could be the best, most guaranteed movie ever, like Pirates of the Caribbean number, what are they even on right now, 4? 5 or whatever, I don't even know. That one took a while because of all the dicking around that all the staff does. They had to find a writer, they had to find a director, all this. I mean, there's certain movies that were supposed to be made like 3 years ago and they still haven't gotten a script or they haven't gotten a director. So I think we can scratch that one off the list. Never gonna happen. So the whole settings, genres, and platforms thing, no, they're pretty much just talking about video games. I mean, they might look into novels again, just recruit a novelist, but that's like the simplest thing. It's like one guy, he writes it, edits it, they approve it, pay the licensing fee, done. So I think it's funny that they're trying to play it up like they're going to make it, and they're kind of hiding the fact that they're just licensing out the names and the copyrighted stuff, and that's it. So that's all establishing for the big question that I have, and otherwise this would have been a 20-second video because, yeah. But I wanted everybody to be very, very informed on what's going on, in my opinion. So let's assume that they'll hire a team and have this random David Schwartz guy manage it for some reason. I don't know. But they'll hire a team from another company that actually knows what they're doing and is famous for making good, successful games because that's been, well, they're 1 out of 1 on it. They went with D3 Go. I can't really give another example. So they're 1 for 1 on picking companies that know what they're doing and know how to design games well. So assuming they did it again, would you play an AR or VR game that involves Magic the Gathering? I know they pretty much just said D&D, D&D, D&D. It's all Dungeons & Dragons, but I assume it was also Magic the Gathering related, because that's the other thing they sell, and it makes more than D&D, I do believe. If they had a VR version of just straight up MTGO or Duels of the Planeswalkers, they just added a VR option, would you play it? And I've been wondering this for a while because they keep saying AR, VR, AR, VR. And I think AR would be cool if something like Google Glass took over and it had really good fast tracking, because you could keep your life total like as an overlay, like a heads-up display on your glasses while you're playing the game. That would be really, really, really cool. Like really cool. I mean, I've had people get impressed when somebody whips out their smartphone, disables screen sleep, and then opens up like a counter, like a life counter. Like that's impressive to people. So apparently it doesn't take much technology to impress us MTG players. So instead of, I accidentally knocked my spin down when I was, talking with my hands like I always do, sent the spin down flying. What the heck was my life total? I don't know, but I like dice. They're cool. Like everybody knows that if you use a pencil and paper to track your life, it would be more accurate, better, and you have more information about the history, and you can trace it back. It's like a log, and you can make sure it's correct. Yeah. But dice are cooler, and apparently a smartphone app is even cooler, I guess. Now just think if you had a smartphone, but it was more like a 3DS, but one that actually worked. So you could have like a 3D hovering life counter. Oh, that would be cool. And actually, you can rig up really cheap. Like, we're talking $15, $20 devices that are like, little clear wands that wave back and forth, and they attach with USB, and you can make them say things. And you could just sit there with like a little laptop or Bluetooth on your smartphone and make it keep the life counter, and it'll look like a floating hologram. I mean, how cool would that be? So let's step it up. you slap on Google Cardboard and you use the front-facing camera to do like an augmented reality overlay of the game, and you use like voice commands to raise or lower the life total, or some kind of Bluetooth device, on par with like Pokemon Go Plus, where it's really simplistic. It's just like +1, -1. And, it could artificially, intelligently look at like a card and bring up its rulings from the Gatherer website automatically if you just say like rulings, and then boom, it brings them up. I mean, that would be cool. It would be really cool. Unfortunately, the more technology you shove into the game, the more opportunities there is for cheating. It just is what it is. But I think it would be a popular product if they went that route with it. But what about straight up VR 100% CGI rendered? Because obviously AR, I think we all can agree, it would be expensive, it would be gimmicky, but it would be cool as hell. And the closest comparison I can have is on the original anime version of Yu-Gi-Oh! And you guys knew I was going here because, I mean, everybody's brain snaps to this, where they had like the little frisbee thing that you toss from your little holder thing on your wrist or whatever, and then it's a hologram generator and it generates actual like 3D models of the monsters you're fighting with, whatever creatures are on the battlefield. Yeah, sign me up if you're going to invent that for Magic. That's a given. But since holograms don't exist and won't for 100+ years, because the best we can do is illusionary holograms that are actually 2D, I think we can give up on that. But okay, strap some, Oculus to my face. I hope not. I think they're going bankrupt. Screw those people. Oh, and screw Facebook too. They killed it the second they bought it. So you put a HTC Vive on your face, and you can play MTGO or Duels. I'm thinking, oh, that would be so cool for about 5 minutes. And then I'm thinking, well, unless you're going to play in really cool exotic locations, like, oh, you'll have it automatically render you're on a tropical island, or like an actual 360 rendered area, like you could play in Paris, France at an outdoor cafe and on a table, and then only the table would be CGI. The rest is like, I don't know, pre-rendered or like actual filmed footage. That would be kind of cool. Or you could do it like play in the middle of like a war zone or something. There's like soldiers running past and stuff. I think that would be really funny if they had like 100 different scenes you could play in. Like you could duel on like a volcano or something, or just something really dumb. I think that would be kind of cool. But other than that, if it was just like the Duels interface right now, I think that would get old pretty quick, because why would you have to look left or right? A depth of field, or not even depth of field, like a focal distance / peripheral thing would only serve to make the cards less readable than if it's just on my 1080p monitor, 2D, all the cards are readable with a 1:1 pixel ratio and all the text is clear as day. It's all crisp. Anything past that, I'm gonna have to like lean forward or zoom in or look left or right to read the cards, and that's like, what is that? Why would I want to do that? I mean, it would just literally be, hey, this is cool VR. That's it. There's no actual advantage. I mean, okay, you could pick out like an avatar of yourself and you're like a wizard, and then your opponent picks out one and they're like a rogue or something, or whatever. I mean, that would be kind of cool, but still kind of gimmicky, because like you could maybe throw in like emotes that you could do, and it would be a little bit better than 2D, but not enough to make people buy it, especially since, I mean, what does it cost? Like, you could run MTGO on a freaking potato these days. Just about anything would run Duels. So then you go from that to, you need, $1,000 PC-ish, plus $700 plus worth of hardware. Uh-oh. Oh, and then Wizards wants to make some money too, because none of that money goes to Wizards. You just bought the gaming PC and the hardware. Now you have to buy the app and probably still buy the cards. See, now we got a problem, because then only the richest of the rich are going to play it, and anytime they make something like that, and yet it has unique matchmaking, you're going to just play the same person over and over and over. I mean, there are big AAA or at least AA games that launched and did not have enough people to maintain matchmaking after a couple months. I think maybe The Division had a problem with that. Otherwise, I know that Microsoft Split 1 had problems like that, but there was another game that practically crashed and burned. I think it was Rainbow Six Siege, actually. They were having trouble having any match go together, and you would just play the same people over and over and over. Because if it was like 6-on-6, 8-on-8, whatever, there's not more than 16 people on one server at a time. That's basically what it is. So if it turned into that because you got to spend thousands and thousands and thousands, that would be bad. Now, that said, people spend thousands and thousands on MTGO, so I don't know. It's just, would they want to spend more without even getting cards out of it? Just the hardware and just to play that. You'd almost have to be into VR already and also into Magic pretty hardcore. So I don't think VR is the right way to go until at least 10 years from now, if it establishes more, gets more widespread, and gets adopted more and all that. So I hope they're not seriously looking into that, but augmented reality would be pretty darn cool. And honestly, there are all kinds of like play table services, grid generators, like just simple little programs that you could run on like ultra high def televisions and stuff that are your tables, you know, touchscreen capable D&D tables. Those have been out for years. They didn't even invent this, just other people just kind of made an app and made it work. And since they're not ripping off any IP, it's just landscapes, a 1-inch grid, and some 3D models of some dudes. It's perfectly legal. So taking D&D past just solely paper and plastic would be pretty cool, although that's like the simplicity. You could just whip it out, set it up, done. You don't have to worry about power and batteries and compatibility and updates and, you know, Wi-Fi and none of that. But I think a certain segment of people would still like it, because a lot of people who play in D&D are kind of like geeky and they're into technology as well. I mean, I know I am, and a lot of the people I play with would fit that. So if they made some kind of AR, VR thing with D&D, they could do just about anything and people would buy it. So I don't think Magic is going to be the most targeted thing, but it is their number one moneymaker if I'm not mistaken. So the question is, what are they planning? You know what I'd like to see, in case you haven't figured it out already? A Pokemon Go clone that has to do with planeswalkers and you collect mana. I would play the hell out of that. Oh, and like to take over gyms? Like, okay, you can pick up items, you can pick up healing stuff, you can pick up, you know, mana or whatever from the Pokestops, basically. But to take over gyms, you have to, like, duel the last deck, but as AI, like they do on Puzzle Quest. Hell, just take Puzzle Quest and make it an AR game. Holy crap. I mean, forget Magic. Who cares? Like I said, Puzzle Quest right now is more fun and more balanced and more fair than Magic is. That's saying something. So, given that you know that they would hand off the IP to somebody who knows what they're doing, intellectual property, by the way, if you haven't caught that, they'd hand it off to a company who knows what they're doing. This David Schwartz guy would have almost nothing to do with it, from what I can tell, and the game would probably be good. Any of the scenarios I give, plus anything else you could think of, would you be interested in it? So what do you think of VR? What do you think of AR? Would it have to be whole world AR? Would it be just in your play group, something digital and technical? Would you buy it? What price point? You know, that kind of stuff. So I'm wondering what all you guys in the community think as a whole about this. And I don't think there's been a Reddit thread or a forum post or anything about any of this. Like, seriously, considering it as a whole, what do you think of the products that might come out of Magic Digital next? And I feel like Wizards may have researched this themselves. But then again, maybe not. Usually it's like, hey, we already came up with the idea and made it. We just want you to name it and approve the artwork. And then they send out a survey. So who knows? So I'd love to read your thoughts below, and I'm sure everybody else would. So leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next video.